Hi guys, Nick here with Nick and IT. Today I'm going to cover conditional formatting in Excel, which is a feature that allows you to format cells based on values. This is one of Excel's many tools that can help users organize their data, and I personally like this feature because it allows me to visualize data with color and graphics. Conditional formatting may not be the most useful tool when dealing with a large amount of data, but in smaller scales it's great for highlighting information. And to give you an idea of what this does, if you hover over the conditional formatting button in Excel, it'll say easily spot trends and patterns in your data using bars, colors, and icons to visually highlight important values. So I'm going to start out with this student test scores sheet to kind of demonstrate how you can use this for several things. And I've got a few more tabs or a few more sheets we'll go through down here at the bottom. So to start out, you need to highlight all of the data with which you'd like to apply a conditional formatting rule. In this case, I'd like to know and highlight which students failed the test. So to do that, we're going to say highlight cell rules for our conditional formatting. We're going to say less than. And I would like to know which students failed, and the way we'll know that is if they had a score of 59 or less. So we're going to say cells that are less than 60. And there are several options for formatting. You can, by default, check light red, yellow, green, and you can also do your own custom formatting. In this case, I usually stick with the default because they're pretty convenient as is. And I'll click OK on this. And you've already seen it apply over here in the values, and you kind of see here, okay, I've got some reds. A fairly decent amount have actually failed this test. Now, we can also apply a second conditional formatting rule to this same set of data. And we'll do the same thing. We're going to say less than. And this time I want to know if they got a C minus or less. And so I would say C minus is actually going to be 70. So I'm going to say 71. And for that, we want to say yellow with a dark yellow text. Now the problem with that is we now have two rules, and this tells me if they got a C minus or less, but I still want to know who failed. So what we'll do on this is we're going to select that same range again if it wasn't selected. We're going to manage our rules. In this case we have two. So if you look here, it says rule applied in order shown. And what that means is actually the top rule is going to be the rule that applies last. So for example, if you were to say have this red and yellow swapped, where red is on the top, we're going to find that actually fixes our problem. We're going to apply it. And you'll see because the red rule is on top, technically it takes precedence. And in my opinion, I kind of look at it in reverse. I think it applies last. It applies this one, and because this one applies last, now it's this, it just goes from yellow and now it's red. And so the rule that applies is red because it meets both of these conditions technically. So that's how you, and if you do find that that's the issue, just go around and rearrange your order for your conditional formatting. And so we can kind of see here that overall, about a little more than 50% of our students actually got a C minus or less in this quiz or test, so not looking so good there. There's several other things we can do with conditional formatting, so we're going to go on to temperatures. In this case, I'd like to see visually what our temperatures actually look like. Can I kind of graph those or visualize what they look for? Now, I've kind of put in here just random numbers between 84 and 102. So our max is going to be 102 and our minimum is going to be 84. But I'd like to see what happens if we try to scale that by colors. And so in this case, you give a lot of different color scales you can use. But what I'm going to go with is, because it's temperature, the lowest numbers are green and the highest numbers are red, because we just kind of naturally associate red with hotter and green with cooler. And even if you want to go with blue, the coolest numbers are blue, but it kind of throws me off because white is, I think, usually the coolest to me. But if I go this way, this seems pretty intuitive that starting out early August, we had some moderate temperatures, and they got cooler and then warmer again. So a few cool days, a lot of warm days. Now, when looking at this, you have to consider that the coolest value is going to be the greenest. So 84 is our minimum and 101 is our maximum within the actual data. So if you're looking to actually accurately represent something on a scale of, let's say, cool is actually in the 50s, then just understand that this is not going to represent that accurately. You might actually have to put a 50 down here, and let's say the maximum is 120. And if you want to include all of those, you'll have to include that in your data set for it to be accurate. So just be aware of that. And then finally, we'll go to sales. And one thing I like to do with it is to kind of show with bars values for, let's say, number of cookies sold in this example. And so we want to see, we can kind of see, we had some good months here, but we want to kind of visually see where do we hit the most and where do we hit the least. I don't have September in here yet because I want to show you something about the bars and explain that via an example. So the data bars, we'll go over here, and this actually shows you, based on the values, a little bar. And what that does is, let's say you can see in September when we first started it, we had a good amount, and then it dropped for a couple months, and in December, the holidays hit, and we sold a lot of cookies. But this isn't going to be the most accurate. You're probably wondering, well, what is the values? And the values is actually 0 to 812. So this 812 is the maximum value that it's comparing. So when we look at 812, if we went down to, like, let's say anything close to 406, and this is about as close as you get, this is about halfway. So if we were to jump this or bump this up to about 1624, doubling our highest value, you'll find out that you'll see that 812 drops to about half. So these bars are actually looking at the entire set of data and looking at the maximum value and comparing it to a minimum value of 0. And you can actually change these values in your rules. You can manage rules again, and you can edit the rule, and you can also say the type minimum number, and you put in a number, and the maximum can also be a number, and that way you can actually specify the maximum. So if we say 2000 for this rule, it's no longer automatic, and you'll see that 1624 is no longer filled completely. So if we ever went over 2000, the problem with that then is, let's say we get into October of 18, and we get into 2500, well, now we have a problem because we don't actually see the entire value accurately. So one thing to watch out for, but otherwise it kind of gives you a good idea of how you're doing really quickly. And you could always go back in and change this to a chart, but if you're just wanting to see that data really quickly and you're not really wanting to present that in any way, shape, or form, that's a good way of tracking it. So hopefully you found this video very helpful, and we will catch you next time. Thank you.